Kanji, to most people, is the scariest thing about learning Japanese, but it really doesn't need to be, and I have learned to overcome this fear of kanji to the point where in my own Japanese studies, kanji is my favorite part of it. I despise grammar, I despise reading comprehension and listening comprehension, but kanji is really what keeps me going with the Japanese language, and it's what I most look forward to in class and in my own personal studies. This is not the case for a lot of people that start Japanese, or they're looking into studying Japanese and they immediately get turned off from these complicated characters. In middle school, I began studying the kana, the hiragana and the katakana, the less complicated characters, and I really just put kanji off to the side. I didn't really realize at that point when I was a little middle schooler how important kanji was going to be, and straight up, you are not going to be able to read Japanese, and there's going to be parts of Japanese that's going to be hard for you to verbally say and listen to without knowing kanji. I'm gonna tell you how I got from not studying kanji, putting it on the back burner, being a little bit intimidated by it, not really having confidence in it, to it becoming my favorite part of learning Japanese, something that I'm not scared of at all. In fact, I'm interested in taking the Kanji Kente, which is a kanji test specifically for Japanese people, but I'm just so interested in writing kanji and knowing kanji that it's just black and white, the differences from before I started taking kanji seriously and my Japanese studies now, and I want that for everyone. I don't want kanji to be the reason that you quit Japanese or you don't get into Japanese at all. I have 6 things here that I want to discuss, and number 1, this is going to be a motivator for you. Showing off. We all like to show off. I know that on social media, we all like to show off. In friends groups, we like to show off how smart we are and the kinds of things we can do. And to be honest, learning kanji is impressive for anyone. Like, even for Japanese people at a young age to start writing these complicated characters, like, I am impressed when I go into a Japanese elementary school and they're writing these complicated characters. That is impressive. And I also think it's impressive for someone who is not a Japanese native speaker to start maybe when they're an adult or a teenager and dive into these complicated characters, learning all of the different ways they're pronounced, learning all of the kanji combinations, learning how to write them is really difficult in itself. So I think if you look at kanji as a challenge and not as something that's impossible, and something that will be really impressive if you can get down, that alone can be your motivator. Like, if you're trying to learn Japanese and you find fulfillment in being impressive with it, you are not going to be impressive if you don't know your kanji. Straight up, if you ignore kanji and just study hiragana and katakana, you will not be able to read Japanese past a kindergarten or ichinensei, which first grade elementary student level. You just won't. And your enjoyment in Japanese reading, it's not gonna be fun because you're going to only be able to read the equivalent of preschool and kindergarten books in Japanese. So if you don't get much enjoyment out of your native language, preschool and kindergarten books, you are not gonna get much fulfillment out of reading really low-level Japanese books. So if you wanna read manga, you've gotta get on it, and you can't just learn 100 or 200 kanji. You're gonna really have to commit, and I don't say that to scare you. I more so say this in a, I want you to feel challenged. I want you to feel challenged. There's being good at Japanese conversationally, which, to be honest, I really am not. I really struggle conversationally because my listening skills are it's my weakest link. It's my weakest link with Japanese, but kanji is my strong point. Give me a piece of paper with kanji up to like level N3, JLPT N3, and I can read it pretty confidently. So there's being conversational in Japanese, which is impressive, but I think there is a whole other level of impressiveness when it comes to being able to read a lot of kanji. This kind of rolls over into my next point, which is kanji is good for goal setting. You might be like me, where to get something done, you have to write down a list. You like numbers, you like hitting individual goals, right? Well, kanji is perfect for you because in first grade, Japanese kids start learning kanji. They'll learn the first 80 kanji in first grade, and then in second grade they learn like 100, the next 120 or something like that. So they add on like 100 to 200 more each grade, and this can be good if you really like organization and you really like goal setting. If you wanted to go at your own pace, if it's slow, that's fine. Like if you wanted to take a whole year and learn 80 kanji, that's fine. And then the next year, double it, learn 160. And then the next year, double that. That's a fine pace. Some people might think it's slow, but forget them. Go at your own pace. I had this crazy goal at the beginning of the year where I was like, I'm going to reach 1,000 kanji by the end of this year. At the beginning of the year, I knew about 500 to 600 kanji. I could go into a rabbit trail about like the onyomi and the kunyomi and do you know all the combinations and do you know how to write and stuff, but generally 500 to 600 kanji is where I'm at right now in terms of basic recognition. I don't completely go brain dead the moment that I see this kanji. I had this goal where I would like to reach 1,000 before the end of the year. I don't think that's actually gonna happen based on the pace that I've been going the last few years. I need to go slow. I personally need to go slow, and if you need to go slow, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's still fun to just be like, oh, it's January. By the end of December, I'm gonna know 1,000 kanji, and it gets me hyped up, and it gets me like reading in my books and writing the kanji. Because there's technically a school textbook order to learn kanji, like numerically, this can be good for some people. My next point is that it actually makes Japanese easier. A lot of people don't realize this, but if you just learn the hiragana and katakana, you're gonna struggle. There is nothing worse than reading some text that has no kanji in it once you become more advanced, because it's so hard to figure out that meaning. So for example, a lot of the earlier Pokemon games on older systems, before like kanji could really be put in the games on such a small screen, a lot of the games were just in hiragana and katakana, and those are older Pokemon games, they're hard to read. They're hard to figure out. Once you know a certain kanji and you can relate this kanji to a vocabulary word, your reading speed is faster, your understanding of the sentence is faster, the sentence breaks up better. Whereas if you just have hiragana and katakana, you just have this line of text and it all jumbles together and there's no beginning, there's no end. It gets really complicated. It might not seem like kanji makes Japanese easier at first, but the more you do it, there are times where I'm reading in my JLPT N3 grammar book and they decide to omit the kanji and it messes me up. It messes me up. It messes other people in the class up. We are all begging for these kanji. Like, if we know the kanji, please put it in the book. The next point is just that kanji really is fun because of the combinations. And this also goes hand in hand with the fact that it's not as scary as it presents itself, because kanji is just made up of smaller kanji or smaller radicals. So really what you need to do is you need to learn like a 2-stroke radical. I forget that at 5 o'clock every day, 5 p.m. every day in my town, the jingle goes off. There's like a town jingle. Do you hear it? Why do I record it this time? It's a minute long. I think it's exactly 60 seconds long. Okay. Anyway, back to kanji. So if you see a really complicated kanji, just like break it up. I use a platform called Wanikani, which actually helps you learn the radicals or like individual pieces of a kanji first, and then you use those radicals to build kanji. So even if something is super complicated looking, if you know the radicals, if you know this 2-stroke or 3-stroke radical, and you build the building blocks together to make this kanji, you break it up, it's a lot easier to chew. And the combinations are so fun. It's like just an easy example that a lot of people like to use. So tree, it looks very picturesque. It looks like a tree, but then put the kanji for person, which kind of looks like a person, put them together and you have rest. So you have a person next to a tree, maybe resting against a tree, and it makes rest. So there's thousands of these situations where like 2 kanji put together to make a whole new kanji. There's like a little story or a mnemonic you can make about it, and it just makes it so fun. Like there are still times in class where I'm just mind blown about like, oh, this kanji and this kanji put together making this word totally makes sense. If you're someone who really likes puzzles and puns and the history behind language, oh man, kanji, it's so for you. It's so incredibly fun. Another thing that might help you with kanji is if you are interested in coming to Japan, whether it be to live or to work or even just on a vacation for tourism, kanji will make your life a lot easier in Japan because the kanji is always put pretty big and then the English is usually like smaller. So if you're far away from something but you need to read a sign and you know basic kanji, at the very, very basics, like entrance and exit, like you can kind of not have to search for the English or squint to find the English for entrance and exit. You can just like see them from far away because they're so big. Same with like the kanji for station. If you just follow signs that have this kanji, you know how to get to the train station. There are times where there will just be a kanji sign, and even if you don't know how to write the kanji, if you don't know all the readings for the kanji, if you can at least connect that, okay, like this kanji is train station, that can help you out when maybe you're in a place that doesn't have a lot of English and you see this on a sign with an arrow. I've been there, where I can just be like, okay, the station is this way. Even within the first 100 to 200 kanji that you're gonna learn, it's gonna make your life in Japan, whether you're living here or even just visiting for a little bit, it's gonna make it so much easier. And then you can impress your friends with your kanji knowledge. The last tip I'm gonna give you that helped me personally was finding a book that I actually really enjoyed. It can be really difficult to just go on a website and just type in, okay, like what are the first 100 kanji I need to know, and you get really overwhelmed by them just in a chart. I recommend books that help explain the kanji. I use these. I use Kanji from Zero and Kanji from Zero 2. I also use Kanji Master. This is the N3 edition. I'm the type of person where if I have a textbook that needs to be filled, get me a pencil because I want to fill it out. I want to do the whole thing and I want to look back on it when it's all filled in and nice. I think a lot of times we just feel so unmotivated and we don't know how to get back on track with language learning, and I think a textbook that is kind of laid out like this can help us, because it's just you turn the page and you have a fresh, clean new slate. And for me, it's like I can't explain the psychology behind it, but it's like, give me a pencil, I want to fill it out, I want to do it. Overall, I just want to tell you that kanji is not as scary as people make it out to be. I always hear people saying like, oh, I want to learn Japanese, but kanji is so terrifying. How do you do kanji? Like, it's really not that big a deal. And maybe I'm just optimistic because I'm only in N3 level right now, and maybe by N1 I will be like, never mind, kanji's the worst thing ever. That could happen, but for now, because I just needed a motivation to get this far, this has kind of been my mindset. These are the tips that I've used to get to where I am now, and that could change down to more advanced Japanese. I'm only in the intermediate area of Japanese now, so that I could take all of this back, but at least I've gotten this far. Don't let kanji be too scary for you. It is the most fun that I've had with Japanese, and you can feel the same way too. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the comment section below. I'd be happy to answer anything that you might have. And I hope this video was helpful for you. Thank you so much for watching, and good luck with your studies if you're doing it, or if you're not studying and you just find language videos interesting. I'm the same way. It's like, oh, this girl's learning Hungarian. I want to see her learn Hungarian, even though I have no interest in Hungarian. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.